From Hacker News, Google fired employees for union activity, says U.S. agency. This is coming at you from the Baloney Broadcasting Company. Sometimes they spit out fake news from these crazy, radicalized Europeans who think that anything is hate speech because they banned hate speech and then they engaged in goal shifting where what used to not be hate speech is now all of a sudden now hate speech. And then 10 years from now, what is considered hate speech but used to not be is now considered far right and neo-Nazi. And then later on, it gets even more crazy until no one can take it. A complaint filed by the U.S. National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, alleged that Google unlawfully monitored and questioned its employees about their union activity. It fired a number of staff for violating data security, but the NLRB said the rules were applied only to those engaging in union activity. Google denies having done anything unlawful. Comes as another prominent Google employee, a leading figure in AI ethics, said she was fired for an email that she sent to employees. Why were they fired? ? The NLRB complaint deals with employees who were fired over a year ago in November 2019. Known as the Thanksgiving 4, they were officially fired for breaking security and safety rules. But the workers alleged they were fired for speaking out about Google policies. Reacting to the NLRB complaint, Google said it's always worked to support a culture of internal discussion. Yeah, they just fire you if they don't like your speech. Reacting to the NLRB complaint, Google said it's always worked. Sorry, I just read that. Sorry. Actions undertaken by employees at issues were a serious violation of our policies and an unacceptable breach of a trust of responsibility, it said. So what did they do? What did Google do? The complaint on behalf of two of the workers said the employees accessed basic tools like employee calendars and meeting rooms for the purposes of organizing union-related activities. Google interrogated its employees about accessing such information, which the NLRB said were protected activities under labor organizing rules. It also threatened employees with unspecified reprisals and demands that they address any workplace concerns through official channels only. And it also accessed any employee slide presentation that was part of a union drive. The complaint said, these employees are problematic at these big tech companies. They live in these bubbles. They block out anyone that they think is racist, sexist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, any sort of other isms or bad negative labels that you would like to attach people. They are the privileged class of people. They have the fancy jobs. They don't associate with us because they're at work all the time, making that big money. And so this group of people are radicalized lefties, and it's kind of like the insane people can take over the insane asylum. So I personally don't blame Google for preventing the insane patients from taking over the insane asylum, because the way that these big tech companies work is that they're all crunching. So like they don't want people with kids to work for them. They want single people without kids who can crunch, and that means that you got to hit a deadline. So you're going to work 16 to 24 hours a day, maybe 36 hours in a row. And you got to hit the deadline, and you're going to be extremely stressed out, really tired, overworked, cranky, irritable. And so these tech companies are like a bunch of whiny children that can just go off and just explode. Imagine if you just got a whole bunch of people who are like borderline and some over the line PTSD from crunching too much, from so much stress, and their relationships at home are melting down. Their wife or husband won't have sex with them anymore, or they need so much time off after work to de-stress that they never have sex anymore, and then it turns them into a gremlin. And then next thing you know, you've got gremlins taking over the entire skyscraper, and then it turns into a shit show. And so this is the big tech community in a nutshell. And then eventually they stop stressing out after some period of time, and then they become ultra woke, and they're way better than you, and they know how to work with teams of irritable people. They just kick everybody else out. They shun anybody who criticizes them. They turn into the petty vindictive master from the 48 Laws of Power, the one that you do not want to cross, that if you cross, this person will come down on you like a sack of bricks dropped onto your head from approximately their height. And it's these people who are up at the top, the petty vindictive masters that are just used to getting rid of anybody who causes problems. And then you have all the little whiny baby children underneath them that are like the mob of insane people that will take over the insane asylum. They're like the crazy far leftists that if you even dare question that there's only two genders, or that there's not two genders, and that there's not 50 genders, and that being a cisgender polyqueer is more normal than heteronormative behavior, then you are now the toxic masculinity one. And you got to understand these people are so stressed out from doing these crunches that because most of them are doing the grunt work. You got the people high up in the establishment. I'm a software and computer engineer, so that's how I'm able to tell you how these people operate because I run my own business. And so in order, they're up at the top of the ivory tower. They control who comes up to the top. They're very protective. Everybody wants to change everything. Everybody wants to get their design in. And so you have to tell everybody no. And then they get ultra woke. They're like that Jack Dorsey dude. They're like got the hair going down like here, like he's like hasn't like taken a shower or shaved or done anything for his appearance in months. Like he's been eating too much acid or something. And they act like they're all heady and woke. Like, oh no, I would never engage in cancel culture. I'm all for free speech. My hands are tied. But what you don't understand is that he's in a culture of people who do the same thing, and they all are self-censoring. They're all engaging in goalpost shifting. They're all experiencing lots of stress from the large workload. They're all fighting to keep their own position in the workplace. And when you do that, when you look at the power structure that they've set up, you really got to be, it's unsettling. You got to be worried about it because they have so much power in these big tech and big MSM companies, and they've amassed a in-group that is part of their white privilege and Asian privilege circle. They control who comes in. They kick most people out. If you do end up getting lucky enough to get a job, they're going to make you crunch. They want you to work get as much value out of you as possible. You got to compete with the H-1B visa dudes. So they bring in all these smart people from all around the world, like these Indian people that were like they spent large amounts of their life dirty poor, and they were on computers and learned everything about it, and because they didn't have anything else to do because they were dirty poor and they had to, and then they're like genius doctors, and then they come over and like we can't compete with them because they had a privilege growing up. They didn't have to worry about the other things because of the poverty, and they keep saying it's white privilege that like is like preventing the black people from coming up like the Indians and the Asians, Chinese, when in reality the poverty actually was an asset because it made it so that they spent most of their time on the computers learning all this stuff, and then they came up because they figured out how they worked. They had no other option. That was that one good job. That was the one that they could do to help their village out, and their village assisted them and helped them get to that position. And then we don't have that, and they keep on saying it's white privilege. That's the reason why the minorities are in the big Democrat-run shithole cities are all oppressed. It's because of them racist Republicans from them poor rural states that are holding down the minorities in the big cities. They're the reasons why you can't get jobs at the big tech companies in San Francisco. Right. It's the racist Republicans in the poor rural states. This is the reason why you can't get a job at the big tech companies run by the Democrats, right? I mean, do you see the game? It's a shit show. Their whole game is a shit show, dude. They're hypocrites through and through. They all preaching this equality thing while they're all using this soft power, talking like with these like monotonous, slow voices that are good for dealing with cranky crews of whiny little babies up in a safe space. And they use this against you. And if you can't talk with this lingo and you're not on their level, you're not in their class, then you're nothing. You're nothing. You don't get a job there. You're not going to be friends with them. They're in another world. They won't let you in because your grades weren't good enough. Like, okay, well, can I learn on the job? No, they want an H-1B visa, dude. They want somebody that they can pay a decent wage, but they could work them 16 hours a day, and they don't want us because we got families and kids. And so we don't get the training, and so this makes it so their class of people ends up first come, first serve. They secure all the resources, and then next thing you know, they're banning you for just normal speech because it allows them to get what they want. They get the money, they get the power, and they get to hold on to the power. They get to choose who comes up and who is able to participate in the market depending on how many likes you get, depending on the network of people that you're around, which depends on the jobs that you got at the big tech or big MSM companies that allowed you to get privileged access to these networks. That's the problem with these people and why we got to shut down big tech and big MSM. We're going to have to do something with like an open source, one size fits all social network that everybody's thing is it becomes like an app for it. Like Facebook's just one app that you can access the social network. You go on another social network, it's the same thing. I mean, there's just no way that you can have a monopoly on that and comply with our antitrust laws. You know, at some point in time, they have complete control over the entire world's social media, and then they're rigging our elections, and we can't do anything. You know, you're gonna have to take them out bit by bit. All right, I've gone off too much on this story. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. You got a bell over there. You can ring it. You're gonna get notified whenever I'm going live, so you can watch me go off like a redhead, like a firecracker. That's what I meant to say. You can also find these links over at github.com/RSS commentary /Kale McCullough /issues/114 for the show. And then you'll be able to find these links over there. You can also find us at rsscommentary.com where you can make a donation at the /donate. You can make a donation via PayPal right now. Don't forget to share this video on social media if you would like to see this channel grow.